guys? So today's film up for discussion, if you couldn't guess, is the highly anticipated superhero film, although I guess this is an anti-hero film, and it's called Venom. Venom is directed by Ruben Fleischer, who's best known for Zombieland. To Spider-Man fans, Venom is one of the most iconic villains, or anti-heroes if you will, in the entire Spider-Man lore, and has previously been once attempted to be brought to the big screen by Sam Raimi in the 2007 film Spider-Man 3. However, neither Topher Grace's Eddie Brock or Venom in that film left much of an impression. 11 years later, and now we have a new interpretation, this time with Tom Hardy playing the investigative journalist Eddie Brock. This version is more of an origins character study. Topher Grace's Eddie Brock was a paper-thin photography rival for Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker. However, Tom Hardy's interpretation of Eddie Brock is that he's more of a hands-on investigative journalist. He's not afraid to ask the difficult questions that others are too afraid to ask. However, his ambitious appetite lands him in hot water when he tries to uncover the truth behind shady businessman Carlton Drake, who's played by Riz Ahmed, and his latest scientific experiment, which is supposedly a cure for pancreatic cancer patients. After breaking into Drake's hilariously unsecure facility, Eddie becomes the host of this symbiote alien parasite, which is known as Venom. Latched together in the same body, Venom gives Eddie superhuman abilities like enhanced speed, enhanced strength. He can forge objects like spikes and weapons with his black goo that he's encompassed in, and he can also heal rapidly. But Venom has no morals and a penchant for biting off people's heads, so it's not an affliction that you would want. But the film follows Eddie and how he deals with his new symbiote passenger, as well as him trying to stop the dastardly plans of Drake. So what did I think of Venom then? To be honest, guys, I went into this film with such low expectations. After hearing that Shakespearean bit of dialogue, "Turd in the wind," I couldn't help but have my concerns, but I will admit, I enjoyed this film more than I thought I would. It certainly isn't spectacular, but it's passable enough entertainment. Let's start with the good stuff. Well, first of all, Tom Hardy is exceptionally good in this, okay? He carries this film, and he's probably the reason why this film doesn't feel like a drag, because he actually manages to elevate it with his natural charisma. But he's also really funny, particularly when Eddie and Venom mesh for the first time and they start communicating with each other. Tom Hardy's physicality in this is priceless, because Venom is trying to dominate Eddie's body and he's trying to retain physical control of him, and Tom Hardy gets to do some great physical work here. He's just trying to put his hands up, but Venom brings them down. You can just imagine how much fun Tom Hardy was having on set whilst being thrashed around like a puppet, and he really sells it and delivers it, and I was laughing quite a lot at that. The back and forth banter and insults between Eddie Brock and Venom gives the film some of its funniest bits, particularly one cut when he tells Brock to jump, and I won't say what happens next, but I laughed so hard. I was howling. So yeah, I thought Tom Hardy did a terrific job carrying this film. The action sequences I thought were quite pleasing. I particularly liked the one-on-one combat stuff. But having said that, the finale of this film is another CGI monster battle between Venom and this other symbiote character. It's just another one of those CGI monster brawls, you know, like in The Incredible Hulk or Batman v Superman, where it's just a lot of CGI thrown at you. And for a film's finale, I don't always like that. I like there to be a bit more substance to it than just watching something that was created on a computer. Alright, so now let's talk about the problems with Venom. The main problem that this film suffers from is a messy script. With 4 screenwriters, it definitely feels all over the place. Besides Eddie, all the other characters feel underdeveloped. They try their best to make you care about the relationship between Eddie Brock and his girlfriend Annie, who's played by Michelle Williams, but it never really amounts to anything. Michelle Williams does her best, but her character feels like a wasted opportunity, and her presence in the film feels like she's being shoehorned in after the first act. And of course the villain Carlton Drake, who's played by Riz Ahmed, just felt very generic and felt flat to me. I actually thought his character motivations were quite interesting, because he was doing these terrible experiments on these lab volunteers in order to pursue the advancement of science so that humanity can live on in the future. I thought that was an interesting angle, but I still thought that his character lacked conviction. It didn't feel like he was doing these inhumane things for the pursuit of humanity. He was doing them just to feel like a generic bad guy. And I also found some of the narrative choices a little bit odd or unnecessary in this film. After the first act ends, there's this time jump of 6 months. But in the first act, we see a symbiote attach itself to a host, and it's making its way from Malaysia to San Francisco. But my question is, what was this symbiote creature doing for 6 months? Was it just backpacking around Southeast Asia? Why did it take 6 months for this creature to get from Malaysia to San Francisco? I just found that a bit bizarre. And then there's other narrative choices which I just couldn't possibly buy into. Like, in the final act, Eddie and Venom have to work together to stop this rocket ship from leaving with another symbiote creature on it. And the reason for Venom wanting to stop this creature is just laughably lame. He says, "I'm doing it for you, Eddie, because on my home planet, I'm kind of a loser too, like you." I'm just like, what? That is such lazy, dumbass writing. And then there's just little details which become glaringly obvious whilst you're watching, like how laughably bad the security is in this facility which is housing the symbiotes. You would think a facility which is housing deadly alien life would have security guards and cameras. There's not even one security camera. And I'm like, really? Who designed this building? But this is how we move the plot on, because movie executives think that audiences will be too dumb to notice things like that. We're not. To sum up, guys, Venom is by no means an outright disaster, but it's not a home run either. It's just very average. It's a mixed bag of a film. Some bits of it are very entertaining, but it also has a lot of lull moments as well. Some of the comedy is brilliant, particularly when Venom is backseat driving Eddie, but there's also loads of jokes which are just meh. The supporting players were all very basic and generic. They didn't do anything to add to the overall quality of this film. Again, this can all be traced back to a script which just lacks consistency. It's just all over the place. The main problem with this film is its script. Right, it's time to ask those 3 questions. Would I watch this again? I'm gonna say probably. There's certain parts of this film which I actually quite liked. I would probably watch this again just for Tom Hardy. I thought he was electrifying in this. And yeah, I've watched much worse superhero films more than once. So yeah, I feel like this would probably be a film that I want to watch again. If there ever is a Venom sequel, I would definitely watch it before I watch that. Would I recommend it for you guys? Well, if you guys are a fan of the superhero genre or Tom Hardy, then yeah, go give this film a watch. Tom Hardy's probably the best thing about it. But if you do go see this, just go in with low expectations. That way you might be pleasantly surprised like I was. If you're not a fan of superhero movies, then give this one a miss. It's not worth spending your money on. It's merely okay. And what score am I going to give it out of 10? I'm going to give Venom a score of 4.5 out of 10. It's watchable enough, but nothing that's going to blow you away. Right, there you go, guys. Those are my thoughts on Venom, but this is just one bloke's opinion. I want to know your opinion. What did you think of Venom? Was this the Venom film that you wanted? What do you think of it comparatively to the Spider-Man 3 Venom? Or do you think this film was just a complete misfire? Whatever you think, be sure to let me know in the comments section below. If you guys do like this content, please don't forget to click that subscribe button. And if you guys do want to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or Stardust, all that information is in the description link below. Thanks so much for watching, guys. For more things related to movies, TV, and popcorn culture, I'm Luke Hearfield, and I'll see you next time.